Brian Scott of Joe Gibbs Racing, who finished 9th this past weekend in Phoenix, joining us today live on our nationwide Spotlight live chat here on NASCAR.com. If you got a question, just email it in to us and we'll pass it right along, like this one right here. Lady Tracy wants to know, she says, Ralph, can you ask Brian if he's going to keep the beard now that it brought him good luck at Phoenix? Well, yeah, Lady Tracy, I can ask him that. In fact, apparently I just did, Brian. Is this becoming a fear the beard type scenario for you?
Well, Lady Tracy, she's a big fan of mine. That's Tracy Wilson. I know exactly who that is. And, yeah, I kind of decided to have a little fun with it after Daytona not having some good luck and kind of look around. And you see Jimmy Johnson growing a beard, and you see David Rudiman, who grew a beard and won a race and then decided he wasn't going to shave it because he thought it brought him good luck. And I just thought maybe I would try it, see how it looked first off, and see if it brought me any luck. And, so far it's 1 for 1 finishing in the top 10, so I think I'll ride the beard wave into Vegas and see how I do, and just kind of keep taking it week by week and see if it does bring me any good luck.
All right, so does Lady Tracy have a lot of pull on what happens with your beard?
No, she doesn't. I listen to everybody. Right now I just kind of do my own thing with my facial hair, I guess, but I like hearing what people say about it. So far the responses have been good. People seem to like the beard a little bit, so I'll keep it going, and I don't know, maybe I'll change it up. Maybe I'll go to a goatee or something like that, but I think that I'll at least walk into Vegas rocking the beard.
Is it just facial hair, or is a mohawk potentially in your future?
No, I have a ugly, ugly head. I got to keep as much hair on my head to try to cover that as best as possible, and a mohawk would just not be good for me.
So maybe you just grow it extra long then?
No, I can't really grow it long. My hair's kind of stuck in a holding pattern with what I got. It's about the only hairdo that works for me.
All right. Well, Nick Gardner wants to know, Brian, what's your favorite driving style and your favorite track?
Well, I really, God, that's tough. I seem to do really well on the short track, so I kind of like the close proximity, brake, cornering, kind of rubbing, donuts on the doors type of racing. But I also really enjoy the mile-and-a-half type racetracks. And then, of course, I won at kind of a hybrid. I won at Dover. So Dover's always a really special place in my heart because of that, winning in the Camping World Truck Series in 2009. And I think it's my favorite track because of that. But, I guess I don't have just one style of track that I really, really love. I just kind of like a lot of different racetracks.
Does that all come because of your sprint car days? You like the close, tight racing?
No, I don't know. I seem to have a better knack for that. It seems to be maybe where more of my experience is, with super late models and Hooters Pro Cup and the stuff that I started doing when I moved to North Carolina on asphalt. I just seem to adapt to it a little better. For whatever reason, I don't know. I just do better at those type of racetracks, so I like them because of that.
As you make your plans through your career here with Joe Gibbs Racing, how do they map it out for you? Do they talk to you much about the progression from here, or is it pretty much, hey, let's worry about today and we'll talk about the future down the road?
Yeah, right now it's just kind of about worrying about the present, and then hopefully the future will sort itself out with having good success in what we're doing right now.
And as you look at Joe Gibbs Racing, do you get much help from the guys above, or are you pretty much on your own with where you are with your team?
No, we get a lot of help. We get a lot of help from the Cup Shop, and I personally get a lot of help from Joey and Kyle and Denny when he comes down and runs in the Nationwide Series. And that's a tremendous benefit to me, to have all that data, to have all that knowledge, to have all that resources, and then to have people that have been there, done that, and people that are not too much older than myself, that know what I'm going through and can help me kind of make the transition has been tremendously helpful to me. And I think it's going to cause me to just accelerate my learning curve and get so much more out of this year and have so much more success.
Matt out of Atlanta would like to know, what is the talk in the garage about Cup drivers not being able to run for the Nationwide Championship? Do you like that idea?
Well, personally, being a nationwide only guy and being one of the ones that's still able to run for a championship in the only series I'm competing in, I like it. I have no reason to hate it because it just kind of increases my chances of being able to be a champion in the series. But I don't know. I don't know how Cup drivers feel about it. I haven't really asked around and gotten the pulse of the garage to see what other people think. But personally, I'm a fan. I like it. I hope that it brings some more attention to the nationwide, only guys, and I think that it helps the Nationwide Insurance Series kind of get its own identity a little bit away from the Cup Series. It's just like kind of a Cup race on Saturday.
Brian Scott joining us on our Nationwide Spotlight live chat here today on NASCAR.com. If you have a question, feel free to email it right on into us at NASCAR.com, just like Boots and Racing -11 did. Brian, how does it feel having fans stay with you from your transition from trucks to Braun and now over to JGR?
Well, Boots and Racing is another big fan of mine, just like Lady Tracy. It's great. I can't think of any sport where the fans get as involved as they do in NASCAR. And I tell you, that's been a real treat for me coming through the ranks to see, the fans that I've accumulated along the way and the fans that are diehard Brian Scott fans that have stuck with me and continue to stick with me and continue to be huge supporters of mine. They kind of know a lot of different aspects of my life, and they're always really encouraging after a bad week, and they're always seem just as excited as I am after a good week, and that's something really cool and really special to me, and something that I'll cherish for a long, long time.
Well, it looks like you stand a pretty good shot at winning Most Popular Driver Award then if your fan base follows you everywhere you go and votes for you like this. That's pretty good. Do you know Scorsese 1450?
Do I know Stacy 1450?
Scorsese 1450. Is that one of your fans too?
Oh, well, I think it must be, but I can't think off the top of my head who it is.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was one you knew very well or not. They were kind of wondering, Brian, what is it like working with Joe Gibbs Racing? And we've kind of talked about that a little bit, but maybe you can expand on that a little bit better. What's the best perk to working with Joe Gibbs Racing?
I think that the best perk with, with working for Joe Gibbs Racing is just being involved with a good group of people, from everybody in the shop to Joe and JD Gibbs. They're great guys, both in business and in their personal life, and they've really helped me develop along the way in both aspects, both in my racing and in who I am off the racetrack. And that's something that's really neat to be a part of people that care about the whole aspect of life and not just what you're doing on the racetrack. It's pretty cool. I think it helps make me a better entire person. And it's a great organization, from the top down, how they run things, how they do things, how they conduct themselves, the fact that morals and reputation is important to them. That's a neat thing to be a part of. It's a neat thing to be a part of something like that and somebody that has such great history and success like Joe Gibbs.
Is it a tough thing to live up to?
Yeah, there's a lot of
standards?
Pressure. There is a lot of pressure to perform over there, especially with all the success that they've had recently with almost running the Sprint Cup title last year to winning the nationwide title the last 3 years, whether it was owner points or drivers. They expect to win races, they expect to run strong, and they expect that out of me. So there's pressure on that aspect, but as far as overwhelming pressure or stress or anything like that, it's not so much. I can take it. I want that type of pressure. I want to know that that everything's going to be at my disposal to be able to win races and, put it on me to go out there and do it.
Shoal Creek would like to know, Brian, do you race on the simulators like many of the other drivers?
I don't get on it as much as others, but I do kind of dabble in it a little bit here and there, especially if it's a place that, if it's a racetrack or something that I haven't been to a lot or have never been to, I like to get on there and, get myself acclimated and familiar with the racetrack, yes.
Do you play video games in general? Are you a Gran Turismo guy or are you a Madden guy? What do you do?
Oh, yeah, I play video games. I play Gran Turismo a little bit. I play some NASCAR racing games. NASCAR. I remember playing NASCAR back in, NASCAR 06 and, every year since. I also play kind of like, Call of Duty, Black Hawk, and some of those. And, it's a fun thing to do to kind of take your mind off of racing, to actually play games different than racing games.
So when you played the NASCAR 06 game, which driver were you?
I was probably Tony Stewart. Just from the open wheel background and stuff, and I like Tony Stewart, and I like Jeff Gordon, and I like Jimmy Johnson, and a lot of those guys.
Absolutely. Rich Bohr would like to know, if you can win in 2011, what track do you think your best chance would be to get that victory?
Oh, man. I personally think that I have a good chance of winning at any racetrack we go to, just because of the team I'm with. They've won at all types of racetracks. They have the capabilities of being really good at every racetrack we go to. And, I think that there's a lot of racetracks that I could, pull the upset and win at. And that's a pretty neat feeling to have week in and week out, to be able to go to the racetrack and know that you have a chance of winning.
Well, Brian, the way you're running right now in a 9th place finish at Phoenix this past week, I'm not so sure that victory would be an upset, but I think there's probably quite a few of those in your future. Here's our last question for today. Burning Rubber wants to know, who was your idol in racing when you were growing up as a kid?
Well, I have a couple. Obviously, growing up in dirt racing, I always thought that, the pinnacle of my racing career would be if I could get to the World of Outlaws. And obviously the World of Outlaws has been a long time dominated by Steve Kinser. So I just, I kind of worshiped him. I wanted to be like him. I wanted to have the success that he had in the dirt days. And then when I made the transition to asphalt and started looking at NASCAR, and I knew that NASCAR was going to be my path, I looked at Dale Earnhardt, even though he was past, since I came in basically 2006. But I looked at him and I said, who could be any better than him to emulate? Somebody so loved by the fans and so loved and feared by their competitors and respected. I said that's got to be the ultimate. That's got to be the ultimate if you can achieve that. And then, I try to, go about doing that, which is it's obviously a huge task to live up to.
Yeah, no doubt about it, but you certainly picked two outstanding role models to shoot for, two guys who are really very similar in their driving styles and in their successes and how they went about their business behind the wheel. And boy, if you can get half of what either one of those two did, you'll have a Hall of Fame career. So congratulations, Brian, on an outstanding run this past weekend in Phoenix, and best of luck to you and the Joe Gibbs guys this coming weekend in Las Vegas. Thanks for being with us today.
I appreciate it, Ralph. And I just got to thank everybody that emailed their questions in. There was a lot of good questions, and I hope everybody was happy with their answers, and just thank you so much.
All right, Brian, we'll check in with you later on this season. Folks, thanks for joining us today here on NASCAR.com. Make sure you join us again next Tuesday, about 11 a.m. We'll be live again. And make sure you come on back to NASCAR Nationwide Series.com. I'm Ralph Sheheen. So long, everybody.